We're back. We're back, and we're excited to be back. I'm Ann DeVere, and my fellow companion here, the brilliant and amazing.
Oh, who am I again? This is my moment of Sherry Sotelo. Yes, we're
Yes,
starting out this way today. It's an
we are
amazing
starting.
day.
Yeah, we are starting out this way today. And it's today is all about your amazing self, your abundant, amazing self. And so really today actually it's going to be fun, but we're also going to be really digging into your courage to know who you are, your courage to look beyond. And so yeah, and share. Look beyond and share. I'm kind of liking that. Okay, so Sherry, let's go ahead and get started with this. So tell me your perception of the topic today. We're both very excited about it, so it's tossing it over to you.
So, as this segment that's going to wrap up this week on happy, it's stepping into your amazing self, but stepping into your abundant and amazing self. So, this is really today's highlight is about acknowledging everything, appreciating everything, recognizing where we're at, how we perceive the world, how we take an inventory, the choices that we make, and why all of it contributes to your already awesomeness that you hold inside. Whether you knew it or not, it is there. So that is where we are going to take off on this jetway. Because, yesterday I had to be the travel agent for the rabbit hole tour guides, tour systems. And so who knows what's going to happen today, but it's an amazing day. It is beautiful outside. I'm hoping it's beautiful where you're at as well. And so, yes, let the adventure begin.
Yes, let the adventure begin. And like I said, this is super exciting for me because as I personally experienced the part we're sharing with you today, the inventory, if you will, looking at ourselves, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, totally, who are we, with no filter, or looking, peeking behind the curtain, if you will, maybe opening up that closet and where we had put a box with something in it, tied up the box with the bow, put it in the corner of the closet. We're going to grab those boxes and open them up. Why should we do it? Well, for one thing, there is a gift in everything that we have experienced, and everything we have experienced has impacted our lives. And yes, some of the things we may not be very proud of, and some of the things we may be ashamed of, whether it's uh, our doing or something was done to us, we take responsibility for it. And sometimes we're reluctant to look at it ourselves, and a lot of times we're reluctant to share it with other people because of what they might think of us. I know I had a whole closet full of beautiful boxes in all colors, wrapped up in all kinds of ribbons, metaphoric, right? But I was just so good at taking everything and putting it away and closing the. Not only I shut the closet door, but I had a lock and a key, and that I try to lose. But you know what? The beauty of this was to actually go back and look at everything, and it was freeing, it was empowering, it was actually, I released a lot of things that didn't even belong to me. When we look at things, because as children we pick up things from everybody and we think it's ours, and when I went back as an adult to look at everything, I was like, yeah, but that one doesn't belong to me. This one is mine. This one. All of a sudden, I didn't have as many things to actually look at. So that made a huge impact, just looking at it myself. But then the next step was actually trusting myself and another human being, if you will, to share some of the things that were important to me. And if you're familiar with any 12-step program, this would be steps 4 and 5. Okay, if it sounds familiar, that's what they are. And again, it had a huge impact on me. But as always, this is my experience, and I'm very excited to go to the fabulous Sherry and have her explain to us the science behind it. Why did it work? Why does it work? And how does it work? And what should we do with it to make sure we're working it at its maximum, maximum benefit? And so, Sherry, right now we're focusing on the money aspect of things. How does it,
Mhm.
impact physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of ourselves? And money plays such a big part in all the decisions that we make, all the things that we do. So let's start off with your pick system. You know, let's pick our way to success, right? I'm just loving it, right? Let's pick our way to success. So what's the first thing we should do? Let's get to it.
So with pick, it's our perception comes first. What is it that we see around us? How are we taking in the inventory of items in our environment? How are we seeing ourselves in the mirror? And this is where we can easily say, okay, this is the physical part of our pick system. Um, our perceptions are guided by so many things. It's guided by our experiences, our knowledge, our cognitive level, our wellness overall, our spiritual base, our foundational pieces from family history. So we get to see this whole entire world through our eyes and start to take it all in a little bit at a time. And so this perception really allows us to engage further and then tap into that next piece, which is that cognitive piece, where in our cognitive section, we do the actual inventory, where we can look at item by item. What do we have access to? What can we utilize? What can we resource? What can we go and attain? What can we work towards? Maybe that's part of our goal system as well. And then finally, we go into our choice method, which is then invoking that emotional component because now we have a feeling behind what we knew from our perception, what we see as our assets, and how we're going to move forward in attaining this path, finishing out this path, wherever we see it laying out for us. We're getting ready to start move and shake. That's what we're doing. So that's the PIC system in a brief little summary, if you
Yeah,
will.
I love it, and so let's get to the first part. As we are going through the pig system, uh, let's look at the physical aspects of ourselves. Okay, whenever we experience, a situation, and in this case, let's say since we're focusing on money, it affects our health, relationships, everything. But right now we're focusing on the money aspect of it. So I know for me, money, the lack of money when we first moved to the US, there was no money. So I was affected physically because I was not, wearing the latest clothes as every 13-year-old in school was doing. So immediately there was this shame of I am less than, and so even though I knew at the time, there was a reason for it, but still I was comparing myself to others. And so we compare ourselves to others, whether it's the clothes we're wearing, whether it's our body shape, or just how we look in general. So let's take a look at how does money affect us physically, from what we wear to all the way inside. So what is it? What are we experiencing there?
Well, what's the one industry that has never suffered a recession since
The beauty,
before? Yes,
the
the beauty
beauty
industry
industry.
is
Yeah.
the one and only industry that continues to have a positive profit margin despite all recessions since before the Great Depression. And so that tells you something. People buy into beauty. This is our physical, this is our outward appearance. So this is going beyond just the what is our capacity, what's our capability, but really what are we attending to out in our social network, in the environment. And we do create a feeling about that, but that goes again into that cognitive piece. But money fuels so many things on the physical aspect. For instance, it can pay for our gym memberships. It could pay for our healthy food choices. It can pay for maybe procedures here and there to give us a little uplifting feel of ourselves that we were looking for that we didn't have naturally. It's for women like me, it covers hair coloring because that vanity absolutely will tell the world, yes, this is gray up here, but no, you will not see it. I I pride myself in that. So money is a catalyst for attending to our physical in about every way, right down to hygiene. So the things that we're disciplined about that we don't even really think too much more than, oh, I really should do that because it's a good health measure. Brushing our teeth, making sure we pick out that favorite kind of toothpaste that keeps things pearly white, our dental visits, our health insurance. So all of this stuff wraps around our physical being but is forced into us, into our hands by money. It takes money to take care of all of these things, and that's
Yeah.
for good and for bad.
Yeah, yes, it does, and, but it's not all bad news here. It's our perception of how we look. Now, even if we just look at makeup, the simplest, easiest thing to do. If you walk into even just a local drugstore, never mind the fancy department store makeups, just a local drugstore, there are a variety of makeups available at all different price points. So we know that we're supposed to be looking better somehow. So it's the good and the bad. I mean, if we don't apply makeup, we feel like we're less than sometimes. And if we do, we're hiding who we are. And speaking for myself, I used to wear more makeup in my 20s than I do now. And believe me, I was a lot more attractive then. I didn't, there was no the extra weight and the wrinkles and all that. But I didn't see myself that way. And so I compared myself to everybody else who was wearing makeup, who was more beautiful, who had whatever they had. Maybe they had the designer clothes, whatever they had. So we're always striving. So the good news is that, looking at that aspect of it, taking inventory of this is the impact that money had on me physically. And that went right into the cognitive aspect of it, what my brain was telling me that I was less than somebody else that was sitting next to me. We're always comparing ourselves. And I will tell you something else too. This is, I don't think I've even shared this on, publicly, but um, growing up, growing up, it was just me and my middle sister. There's a big gap between me and I. Baby sister, like 11 years. Um, she was the pretty one. I was the smart one. So I didn't think I was pretty. I mean, she's smart and she's pretty, okay? But I looked at pictures, I'm like, what was I looking at? Why didn't I think I was attractive? Because of a label. Because of what my parents emphasized as a child. Oh, Annie's so smart, the straight A student. So that's all they talked about. And they always talked about how cute she is. Look at the pretty little hair. Look at the pretty. So it was like, oh, she's the pretty one and I'm the smart one. And it's funny because when I looked in the mirror, that's what I didn't see pretty. I did
You
not.
generated the perception.
Yeah, yeah, and so we take those things on. So let's get into because this is huge. I mean, looking in the mirror, I couldn't see beauty. That's like I'm looking in the mirror. How could I not see, right? And so what's going on with us? That's making us um, see something that's not there or not see something that's there. Our brain is playing tricks on us. So why? What's going on?
Oh boy, this again, here comes another one of those massive questions. It's not
Yeah.
that our brain's playing tricks on us, it's that our brain was so brilliant that it took everything that we learned and that we observed and that we heard from age 0 to 20, and it allowed us to create this persona. It allowed us to give us this image, this visual, if you will, that we would see in the mirror every time we looked in there, even though maybe that's not what really was in our reflection, but because we were told. And then, as observational beings at that time, when we're told something, we're like, oh, okay, well, those big people up there say it, so that must be right. Okay, so then that's what I'm seeing when I have that reflection. Or, oh, all these models have all of these little sizes, and I go to the store and I go to check my size and I grab those pants and I go, those don't fit. So maybe I'm fat because I'm supposed to look like that. And we build and build and build on these blocks, if you will, of things that are pushed in our direction from childhood on into early adulthood. So when we hit that early adulthood in that early 20s, we move from our adolescent brain to our young adult brain. That frontal lobe has come through in its final formation. So we have logic and we have judgment and we have reasoning, but more than anything, we have emotional consequence as it applies to others. We went from this very first world perspective of learning what our first world was supposed to be, as we were told, to this whole world perspective of like, oh, now I have feelings about this as I see it. Oh, and I'm recognizing how other people see me. And I even have feelings about how other people interact with one another. So, let me go ahead and take all of this stuff from my history, because that's what my experience tells me I'm supposed to use, and say, all right, I'm an adult now. These are just my things. And we start to solidify it unless we get some level of redirection. Maybe perhaps someone that came into your life in your early 20s and said, but Anne, you're gorgeous. You're stunning. You're more than just smart. Yes, you're probably the best piece of brain I'm ever going to get in my life, but you're just top notch on top of that from the outside. And it makes you go, but what do you mean? I don't understand, because that's not the reflection that I see. Well, why don't you see it? I was always told to look at something different and to perceive it in a whole other way. So cognitively, I formed this chain link of events that led me from one statement to then my own perception. And so even when we take inventory of, well, what do we have as our attributes? We're going to pull from our historical components first and say, oh, well, I'm the smart one, and I'm the funny one, and I'm the one that didn't fit those clothes, and I'm the one that also didn't have a whole lot of friends, and maybe I'm the one that was really, really shy in a corner, or maybe I was the one that I couldn't even get a boyfriend because I just didn't seem to have the right words, or they always saw, pretty little sister next to me. And so I was just kind of bypassed. So I guess that's just who I am. And so that's what our cognitive place grafted for us. But
Yeah.
with grafts, we can change them. Humans, we're beautiful, wonderful, intelligent beings. We can learn and we can unlearn certain old habits and teach ourselves things that maybe we never learned to begin with. And that's the amazing part of it. That's that stepping into that amazing self and becoming more abundant, even in our own perception of self.
Beautifully said. I love that. And by the way, I did have somebody in my 20s who was who as a matter of fact, I'll just quick. I was like really messed up. I was like 25, something like that. And this man, he tried so hard to reach me. He was like he just couldn't do enough for me until one day he was just like so frustrated. He was like literally put his hands on my shoulders, like 6 inches away from me. You know, that was the frustration. He was like, if you could see yourself through my eyes, you'd know how amazing you are, how beautiful you are, how smart you are. And it was like, it was a shock to my system. It was like the combination of frustration and love that all of a sudden was just like, I was like, well, maybe there is something more. So, um, I have actually, because it had such a profound effect on me, I have incorporated that whenever I'm working with people. As a matter of fact, you think we were working through a tiny bit of it in when I do the unique influencer code. There is the part where it's our natural gifts and we tap into the physical. And it's very interesting because I ask people, what do you like about yourself physically? And they're like, oh, well, I can run. I'm like, no, but what about the way you look? And then everybody's so reluctant to actually say, I like my eyes, I like my face, I like my hair, whatever it is. People are so reluctant to say that, and something magical happens because I'm like, you were born this way. You didn't do anything. It was a gift. In my case, it was a gift from God. It was a gift from Source. You didn't do anything. So maybe if you say, I really like my eyes, or I like my lips, I like whatever it is, maybe you're not taking credit for it. Maybe you're just giving credit to the source that you got your looks from. And maybe you got gorgeous parents that passed down their genes to you. But so don't take credit for it. It's funny because as soon as um, I take away this aspect of them being, maybe bragging about themselves, and saying, well, you just take responsibility for being grateful. Can you be grateful? Magic happens actually. It's funny, we can give credit to others for something good, but we're reluctant to take credit for something good from us. So I make it a practice of it. As a matter of fact, amazing things happen when we are kind of pushed to the limit and are forced to say, I like this and I like that and I like that about myself. So I'm like super excited about that. So true. Now let's go to the part where, why is it that when we hear from somebody, this is sharing with another person. First is looking at ourselves, our amazing, abundant, fabulous self, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, and then sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the beautiful with somebody else. Why is the perception from another person so empowering? Why do we take it to mean more than what we think a lot of times when we're in that space of insecurity? So why is it?
Well, one of that piece is, or one of the pieces with that is that if you can create an acceptance, acceptance encourages mindfulness and promotes emotional regulation. So when we're hearing it from someone else first, we take it in, we create the emotion around it, we wrap our head, our cognitive space around it, going, okay, well, it's coming from over there. So however we give validity or justification to somebody else's statements, it's almost like when we were younger, why do we always listen to everyone else except our parents? Because our parents are the one guiding us, and we're adults, we're supposed to be guiding ourselves. We don't want to listen to ourselves first. We'll listen to everybody else first. And we go in and say, oh, well, if that's what we're being told, then sure, that must be a much better idea than what I had in my own space. So now I'm going to add that to my knowledge bank, and including my emotional awareness in that moment. And then, oh, look, it just creeps in and changes our level of emotional intelligence. And so that's how this all comes right back in this beautiful way of a song and dance, if you will, because we're hearing the music come from other people's words and we're dancing to that sound and dancing along with it and slowly but surely making it part of us so that we start to flow with this newfound thought, this newfound feeling, and it becomes part of us.
I really liked where you went with it, and it's I like the dancing part a lot. because because to me, dancing is just a natural way of of flowing. I just like to dance, but I like that when we're talking about the emotional aspect of it. Sharing with somebody else and having somebody else say positive things about us, it kind of echoes for one thing. But one thing also is that when we have those secret thoughts about how we think of ourselves, that I'm less than, or I don't like my body, or I don't like whatever is, when we actually say it out loud to somebody else, they're like, "What are you talking about? You're gorgeous." Like, really? Or wait a minute, there's nothing wrong with it. You're beautiful as you are, whatever is. And that's the thing that we I think so many of us miss it, regardless of what we look like, regardless of what our body looks like, the perfections, the imperfections. There's always beauty in there. Like I said, the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And so when somebody else is looking at us, they're seeing something different than we do. And that's it,
Mhm.
because we can all see a different aspect of ourselves through somebody else's eyes. So sharing our secrets and sharing the shame or the thing that we're hiding, it's been very, very freeing. So you guys, if you're watching this, if you don't like something about yourself, tell somebody, I don't like this, and what do you think of that? And see what they come back with. I bet you it's going to be way different than what you thought it was. So let's get to the emotional and spiritual aspect of it. We know that the mind plays tricks on us. And so the emotional aspect of it, how do the emotions and the mind and the brain work together? How do we break through emotionally? How do we control the mind
Hmm.
emotionally?
How do we control our own mind emotionally? Ooh, that is in the 3 steps that we just talked about. It's 1, engaging our perception; 2, taking our inventory; 3, going and making a choice, and then synthesizing all of those and saying, really, here comes that empowerment piece of, I'm going to take all of this stuff and now I'm going to do something. I'm going to change my mindset. I'm going to stop myself when I get into that maybe negative spot, negative headspace, not productive line of thought. Maybe I need to even pull back and say, you know what, I am having such a hard time with feeling good on my own. I'm going to throw it up to my higher power. I'm going to throw it back onto my spirituality because I know I feel really, really good there. And what is it going to tell me in return? And I know, Anne, this is a huge part for you because this is
Yeah.
something you do every day. So your practice exemplifies exactly what this synthesis is. And so that's how we can change the mindset, change that emotional pattern into more of an active or proactive approach to everything that we do when it comes into, hey, I want to feel amazing. Because amazing doesn't just wake up on its own. We got to wake that girl up. Like, hey, wake up, honey. It is time. It is time. It is time. We are here and we're fabulous. We're not wasting another minute of life at all. No, siree, ma'am. Mm-mm.
No way. I was expecting an alarm clock to come popping up there.
Oh,
But anyways, but I do want to add to the spiritual part. Okay. Yes. Spirituality is like my center. It's a part. That's how I wake up in the morning. It's just an intricate part of me. Now, I will tell you that I was just not born that way. I worked hard, but we're all born spiritually centered. But I'm not going there. I'm talking about after the messed up mindset. When I started feeling better, and how I actually felt better was going on a lot of retreats, different kinds of retreats on different topics. And it just so happened one of those retreats that I was on, one of the games we were playing, we were actually drawing. It was art. And in my meditation, I actually saw this great big eye. And then I was writing, like, I saw myself through God's eye. And it was a turning point for me. This is like many, many years ago, right? And so maybe it was the continuation of the message I received from my boyfriend at the time, where he said, "If you could see yourself through my eyes." This was like many years later, and I'm at this retreat, and as I'm going through, and I'm drawing and drawing, all of a sudden it's this beautiful eye, and I'm like, I see myself through God's eyes. And so, those of you who do meditate, those of you who actually um, are on a spiritual path, do that. If you were seeing yourself through God's eye, whatever you call your guy, your higher self, that's part of it, the source, and whatever, your higher power, anything that you want to, whatever name you want to use. But if you could see yourself through God's eyes, what would you look like? God doesn't make junk, as we say, right? So you're amazing. What would you see differently? What would God see anyway? So if you look at that aspect of it, there's something for you to think about, and maybe just practice and see practice what and let us know what you came up with, right? So I would love to see it actually. So I'm just kind of, as I'm thinking, there's all these words that just coming flying out at me. Yeah. So because we did look at the practical aspect of all of this, Sherry really made it easy for us to connect all of it. Why do we think the way we do? Why do we feel the way we do? What can we do? And so, yeah, let us know what's going on, because we're ready to wrap this up. But I know that to step into our amazing selves, we do need to do a reality check. We do need to do the physical, mental, emotional, and the spiritual. The combination of the four is that's how we do it. That's how we do it.
Mhm.
So which one of those are you missing, or which one of those could you step up a little bit? Who knows? Let us know. So Sherry, anything that you want to add to it before we say goodbye to our fabulous people here?
No. Happy Friday, Junior, and let's go whip it all into shape.
I don't
I
know what
had
that
to
was.
at least one.
Okay, everybody. Okay. Well, Sherry has been, by the way, just Sherry has been looking for toys and fun stuff to share with you guys. Okay. Hint, hint. Keep coming back, because we're here and we're ready to have fun and learn and transform. Because we really should be happy, joyful, and free. Okay, that's what we're aiming for. And so we will see you tomorrow when we do a recap of everything that we shared this week on what makes us happy. How do we live as a happy person? Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.